but together we can. One small voice in this great big world, with all of the confusion, how can anyone be heard? One hand all alone, reaching for the sky. Sometimes it seems so pointless, but still I have to try. I still believe in miracles, 'cause here I am with you. Together we can make the dreams come true. Here you are, standing next to me. Oh, what used to seem impossible are now possibilities. Oh, when I'm weak, I know you are strong. When I'm standing here beside you, I'm right where I belong. So let the rain keep falling, let the cold wind blow. As long as you are with me, I know together we can turn the darkness into light. Just remember, there's not a day without a night. I'm holding on to hope while I'm holding to your hand. I can't do it alone, but together we can. Whoa. I'm holding on to hope while I'm holding to your hand. I can't do it alone, but together we can. Together we can turn the darkness into light. Just remember, there's not a day without a night. Oh, I'm holding on to hope while I'm holding to your hand. I can't do it alone, but together we can. We can, I can, and you can, together. Whoa, I can't do it alone, but together we can. Oh, I know I can't do it alone, but together we can. I know we can.
1, 2, 3. Welcome to the show. Can you?
Energy, grab me a positive synergy. I have been doubted through life, been never done that with trifling people who told me my style will not work. I told them they wrong, they're struggling too long. This song is for you, I'm proving you wrong.
Get out my way, 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 get out my way. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? How is everybody? How is everyone? Give me one moment here. Let me take this off. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? How is everybody? What's going on, Tanya, with the sleepy tea? What's good?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you.
I missed you yesterday.
We missed you too. How was everything?
Everything's good. I was just beat.
Hey, listen. I get it. I get it. How are my wonderful folks out here in the chat today? How is everyone? Let me put my little border up. Whitney D done hooked my page up, y'all. I am still getting used to all this stuff that she done put on here. Y'all, shout out to Whitney D TV, man. She hooked your bro up. I got a new intro for the morning show. I got a new intro for This Blessed House Ministries. She built a new intro for Venus and Mars. Like, yo.
Wow. That's awesome.
Listen, God is doing his thing. Who up in here? I'm going to shout some of y'all out today. What's up, Daddy's Girl, 1973? How you doing? Cherie Harris, hello. Daughter of the Most High, what's up? Laura Zeffin, hello. What's up, Dredre? Big up to all the readers of the transcript. Atmos, Tanya, Ike, nice. Oh, she got the names.
Nice.
I be listening. Well, thank you for listening. We appreciate you. Jay McBride,
and shout
hello.
out to 4,000. I missed it. 4,000.
Man, yes, man. You listen, we're going to have our celebration. We're going to knock this thing out, and we're going to celebrate.
Hell yeah.
What's going on, Black Diamond? How you doing? Missed you. Thank you for coming back. What's up, LC? Yeah, y'all, that song y'all heard is called Together We Can. It's a song that was wrote by a man named Jeff Brainer. He actually gave that song to me. And he was like, man, I want you to do this song. And I was like, for real? And listen, the song is off the chain. The song is off the chain.
I love that song. It's I don't know. It just gets me in a good mood.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
I love that for all time.
Awesome. What's up? Let me see. Sharon Connor. Hello. How are you? Daddy's Girl. I already said what's up to you. Okay. What's up, Tony? What's going on? Rocking with the Truth. Hello. Daughter of the Most High. Boss Baby in the building. Bridget Brooks. Hello. Taboo. Hello. How are you, Taboo? Bobby Mitchell. What's good? Good. What's going on? And Awesome KJ. What's up, Awesome KJ? Yes, man. Yes. Let me see. Who else? TLMATL. I finally got her name right. She was like, Atmos, my name not Tim. I said, okay, my bad. I got you now. I got you. Linez Butte, what's good? What's going on? King Johan in the building. What's up, bro? What's going on? Be the Light. Hello. How are you? Let's see. Kush. Hello. What's going on, man? Samara. Hey, Samara. How are you? Long time no see. Conchita. Hello. And let's see here. Kay Lachey, 2021. Hey, y'all. Thank you all for informing me. I totally appreciate y'all for being so honest and transparent. Thank you so much, Lachey. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming in. Okay, y'all. So today we are getting back to the scripts, man. I don't know if I got any fellas out here that can help me read. If I don't, then I will just, we'll make it work. I don't know, King Johan coming in here, if Mike Nice coming in or what, but we're gonna make it. We're gonna did you forget I text you? Yeah, okay. You know what? I've been so busy, Black Diamond. I'm sorry to hear about your death in the family for sure. I'm sorry to hear about that. I think I do remember you sending me that. I do. Okay. All right, y'all. So y'all hold one moment. Let me see. Let me see something here. All right. I think I see you, King Johan. It says device not connected. It says you're not connected. So, okay, there you go. What up, bro?
What's good, Brody?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Man. Tuesday, man. It feel like Monday. I don't know why.
Yeah. Hey, you sound you full of energy, bro. You sound like you straight.
Huh? I mean, no, don't let that fool you.
Oh,
Don't let that
oh,
deceive you.
okay.
No, I'm good.
West Coast
Hi, King
Bells, what up?
Johan.
West
What's
Coast,
up
I
with
might
you,
need you to come up
Tanya?
here and read if you can, West Coast Bells. What'd you say,
You
bro?
ain't sleepy, is you?
Nope, I got all my rest yesterday.
That's what's up.
That's what's up, man. Yes, y'all. So check this out. So today, obviously, there were the deliberations. They are now deciding the fate of R. Kelly when it comes to the Chicago case.
Guilty.
Yes, they are. They are
Oh, so
currently.
guilty.
They're going to get back to it tomorrow. We're going to just kind of read this here just to kind of see exactly what happened today, as a lot happened today. So we're going to just kind of review that together, and then we are going to get into our task for today with these transcripts. Okay.
Oh, quick thing, bro.
Go
Quick
ahead.
thing. I want to say, everybody in the chat, like when we stream it, I don't really see the live chat. So anybody who done spoke to me, gave salutations, anything, what's up with you back? I can't check text right back right now, but I see everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. What's up, Danette Speaks? How are you? Thanks for coming in. All right, Davis Campos, what's good? Okay, y'all. So I'm going to pull this up. Let me share my screen with y'all so we can kind of see the recap. Tanya, if you don't mind, I'm trying to do some paperwork right here. Like, it's going to take me like 5. If you don't mind reading this for us, let me see if you can
Of course
see
not.
it. Hold on. Let me share it. Boom. Can you see this right here?
Hold on. Just fix my screen.
Okay.
Our Chicago jury finally gets the case.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's set to return Wednesday after beginning deliberations.
Exactly. So I'm going to pull this up. If you don't mind reading through this, and King Johan, if you could jump in and help her, that would help me, and I'll try to jump in too. But this right here, y'all, this is the summary of what happened today. Go ahead, Tank.
All right. For the third time in his life, Chicago-born R&B superstar R. Kelly is waiting on a jury to decide his fate. Acquitted of child pornography charges in 2008, Kelly, 55, was convicted of racketeering conspiracy last year in federal court in New York and sentenced to 30 years in prison. Now, a federal jury in his hometown is deliberating yet another indictment, this one charging the disgraced I Believe I Can Fly singer with 13 counts of producing and receiving child pornography, enticing minors to engage in criminal sexual activity, and conspiracy to obstruct justice. Also charged are former Kelly associates Derrel McDavid and Milton June Brown, who are accused in an alleged scheme to buy back incriminating sex tapes that had been taken from Kelly's collection and to hide years of alleged sexual abuse. The panel of 5 men and 7 women were excused Tuesday evening after deliberating less than 4 hours without reaching a verdict, and are expected to return Wednesday morning to continue their deliberations. The jury began deliberating about 1 p.m. Tuesday after more than 8 hours of closing arguments over 2 days. Before deliberation, Kelly's attorney urged the jury to, in her closing argument, to put aside any preconceived notions they may have about the singer and see the humanity in him when deliberating charges of child pornography and obstruction of justice. Jennifer Bonjean began her final presentation to the jury by asking them to treat Kelly like a John Doe, as some of his accusers have been, not what they may have heard about him in the news or at the office. We are asking, really, the impossible of you, right? To put that all aside and decide this case based only on what was put into evidence, Bonjean said. Bonjean told the jury that much of the unflattering evidence that has been presented about Kelly over the 4-week trial has absolutely nothing to do with the charges, including accusations of lawsuits brought by an attorney with an industry of suing R. Kelly, and mention of sex tapes involving backup dancers, a baseball player's wife, and even a man. Bonjean said prosecutors are banking that the jury will rely on labels like sex predator instead of the actual evidence in the case, which was built on the testimony of liars and criminals and accusations that are a quarter century old. It's meant for you to lose your humanity for this man and prevent you from really scrutinizing this evidence, Bonjean said. They want you to throw up your hands and say, it's R. Kelly. I want to go home and have dinner with my kids. Let's just sign this guilty verdict. Bonjean likened some of the witnesses in the case, many of whom received immunity from prosecution in exchange for their testimony, to finding a cockroach in your soup. You don't just toss the roach and eat the soup, Bonjean said. You throw out the whole soup. There are just too many cockroaches with these witnesses.
Ooh,
wow. In her rebuttal argument Tuesday, however, Assistant U.S. Attorney Janice Appentang said the evidence was clear that Kelly was a serial sexual predator and that his co-defendants made the decision to help him hide it to keep his career intact and keep lining their own pockets. What R. Kelly wanted was to have sex with young girls, Appentang said, and what the people around him wanted, they wanted to help their boss, including helping him get away with it. Appentang accused McDavid of repeatedly lying under oath when he testified in his own defense last week, what he believed Kelly's denials about sexually abusing minors. McDavid conveniently took himself out of the situations whenever it may have implicated him. Appentang said, including denying he traveled to Kansas City to help retrieve a sex tape of Kelly having a threesome with a minor, and claiming that he couldn't see the video at the heart of Kelly's 2000 trial, even though it was shown repeatedly on large public monitors in court. She urged the jury not to accept McDavid's incredible after-the-fact concocted story, particularly his claims that he was just following the directions of Kelly's criminal defense attorney, Edward Jensen, his entertainment lawyer, Gerald Margolis, and private investigator, Jack Palladino. Do not let him hide behind the supposed words of three men, Appentang said. The time has come. Hold him accountable. While Appentang railed against McDavid's lack of credibility, his lawyers sat at the defense table shaking their heads. At one point, McDavid's defense attorney, Bo Brinley, gave an exaggerated chuckle. Wow. Appentang also said that the defense holding up Kelly's acquittal in that case as proof of their innocence was a red herring because the conspiracy to keep the alleged victim, Kelly's goddaughter, known in the trial as Jane, from cooperating with law enforcement had worked. The jury was scammed, she said. They were scammed by Robert Kelly and his fixers. The case was fixed because Robert Kelly, Derrel McDavid, and others Jane to lie to grand jury and be absent from trial. In her closing, Bonjean said prosecutors were actually getting some help from the co-defendants in this case. Lawyers for both McDavid and Brown argued on Monday that their clients were unaware that Kelly was sexually abusing Jane or other minors back in the 1990s and 2000s. In various ways throughout this trial, there has been this undercurrent of, well, R. Kelly may have abused Jane or may have abused young women, but we didn't know anything about it, Bonjean said. You cannot consider that. Instead, Bonjean suggested Kelly was the one who was in the dark. He struggled with his own serious sexual abuse trauma on his way to becoming a superstar, she said, and was someone who was entirely unequipped to handle all that comes with it. He had to rely on other people to handle the business of R. Kelly, Bonjean said, and it was quite a business. As Bonjean spoke, Kelly clasped his hands and looked down at the defense table. At times, his face mask was pulled under his chin, revealing a somber expression. Her argument was accompanied by a slideshow emphasizing Bonjean's points, including memorably a giant get-out-of-jail-free Monopoly card with witness Charles Freeman's head pasted on the body of the cartoon jailbird.
Wow.
What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And as Bonjean concluded, she displayed a slide with an urgent reminder in all caps. Every count counts. Bonjean spent a lot of her nearly 2-hour argument talking about Kelly's relationship with Jane and her family, which continued far beyond her alleged abuse as a minor and was approved by her parents. It is an inconvenient reality for the government, Bonjean said. Lives are complex, and for all the fist pounding and the outrage, that family made a decision and they had to live with it at that time. Jane's parents lied to the grand jury about her sexual relationship with the singer because they didn't care, Bonjean said. She was 17 and they didn't care. They condoned it. Bonjean noted that when the Lifetime docuseries Surviving R. Kelly was coming out in early 2019, Jane repeatedly reached out to Kelly, but he never tried to influence her in any way. He changed his phone number, she said. He goes silent on her. This is the most disinterested person in obstructing that I have ever seen. Bonjean also painted many of the women who accused Kelly of sexual misdeeds as liars and opportunists, particularly Lisa Van Allen, who she called an extortionist and a thief. She is willing to frame men for, I don't know, identity theft, sex trafficking. There is no crime, apparently, this woman won't commit, Bonjean said.
Thank you so much for reading all that. You read so quick and so smooth. So I'm gonna jump in and help you out.
Okay.
Where'd you stop at? Bonjean said, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thinking in the car. Okay. In rebuttal, Apatine urged the jury to pay special attention to Jane's testimony and the videotapes of her abuse. You saw how Kelly was using her body, flipping her over, throwing her around like she was some rag doll, Apatine says. That's what this case is about. Who is at the center of this case? Kelly's victims, Apatine said. They were the children when he instructed them how to please him sexually. Oh, hell no. They were children when he instructed them how to please him sexually. Across the room, Kelly shook his head slightly. His leg fidgeted, and he hung his head and shook it back and forth once more. The arguments came as Kelly's trial has stretched into the 5th week at the Dirkston U.S. courthouse. Jurors have heard from nearly 3 dozen witnesses since mid-August. Toward the end of Monday's closing arguments, one juror informed authorities she was having a panic attack and she could not continue. Judge Harry Lindenweber dismissed her and replaced her with an alternate. The arguments began Monday with a scathingly methodical presentation from prosecutors and fire and brimstone statement on behalf of Kelly's former business manager. It says prosecutors, hold on, let me see. Somebody just came in. No, that's okay. What up, Ike Nice? I don't think we heard your voice yet. What's up, brother?
What's happening, young people? I'm just listening to all the back and forth. He's trying to close these cases out.
Indeed. So it says prosecutors in the packed ceremonial courtroom started by reminding jurors of their strongest evidence against the singer. The multiple videos they viewed during Kelly's sexually abusing his 14-year-old goddaughter, Jane. Kelly and his team, they did their level best to cover up the fact that Robert Kelly, R. Kelly, an R&B superstar, is actually a sexual predator. They did their best, but in the end, they failed, Assistant U.S. Attorney Elizabeth Peloso said. We are here today because those tapes that they concealed for 20 years are no longer their secret. You have seen the tapes. You have seen what Kelly did to Jane. Meanwhile, the attorney for McDavid told jurors in closing argument that the prosecution was riddled with reasonable doubt and based on untrustworthy witnesses, and that McDavid had no way of knowing whether Kelly was really sexually abusing minors. Man, this was a heck of a crazy day. Well, there we go, y'all.
It definitely was. I am just like, I can't believe some of the things that came out of Bonjean's mouth, like the Kardashian comment. Did you read that?
Man, I heard what she said was just like, it's just like a Kardashian video or something like that.
Yeah, like what's the difference between like the performance tape of R. Kelly and Jane as opposed to Kardashian and
right.
him and yeah.
I saw that. It's unbelievable. It really is. And, I guess, she was doing her best to just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
I felt like when they were tweeting it, how they tweet it like every couple of minutes, I couldn't, like, she was bouncing everywhere. I couldn't even follow it.
Right.
I'm like, wow, she's just talking about everything. Indeed.
Well, y'all, we're going to get into this and give the people what they came here for, which is to hear exactly what happened in this courtroom. Thank you, Tony, for the $10. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. So y'all, we're gonna get into this here. I will go ahead. Let me see. Y'all had a really good chemistry yesterday, King Johan and Ike Nice. So I want to definitely continue that. I'll start off as McDavid. King Johan, you can still be Bo Brindley, and then we'll switch Ike Nice between me and you with McDavid, okay? Unless King Johan wants to take a break and switch in with us. Tanya, you're gonna be Superwoman. I know that K-Love is coming in at 10 o'clock. But
Okay.
so for about 30 minutes, I may need you to bounce around. I don't see anybody. I don't see CJ out here. I don't see Shay. Okay, so okay. Well, West Coast Bells, if you want to, you're more than welcome to hit the link and come on in and help us if you want. Other than that, Tanya, you're the woman.
I'm the objection queen.
You're the objection queen, exactly. All right, y'all.
So let me doing McDavid.
Huh?
I wouldn't be opposed to doing a little McDavid neither.
Okay, awesome. Indeed. I will definitely put you in there, brother. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to share screen and bring this up. Here we go. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let me increase this here so y'all can see it better. We got everybody here. Okay, somebody fell off. Looks like King Johan fell off. I guess he'll come back on.
Let me do briefly till you get back.
Sure, absolutely. So you can be Brinley till he gets back. All right, so we're gonna start here at the top of page 3120.
Mm-hmm.
The top of 3120. If you want to, go ahead and just ask me the question at number 4.
At number.
Yeah, right where it says Q, where it says okay.
Okay, so in December of 2000, when he said that the police was hassling or harassing Jane's family about this, what, if anything, did you ask Robert at that time?
I had an obligation to ask him what is true. Okay, Johan, you good?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I had to go back
Okay.
over.
All right. Go ahead and come back in as Bo Brindley, please, Johan. Go ahead and just start at number 4 to ask the question, please.
All right. Okay, so in December of 2000, when he said that the police were harassing or what they were hassling or harassing Jane's family about this, what, if anything, did you ask Robert at that time? At the time,
I had an obligation to ask him, was this true? So I said, is there anything to these allegations?
and will you tell us what Mr. Kelly said in response?
Objection, Your Honor. That's hearsay.
It's
sorry, go ahead.
It's not offered for the truth, Judge, just for its impact on Mr. McDavid.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Not for truth, but the impact of Mr. McDavid.
What did Mr. Kelly tell you when you asked him, was there any truth to this?
Are you out of your goddamn mind? This is my goddaughter. Of course there's no truth to this.
Okay. And at the time, did Robert indicate to you who he believed was responsible for these rumors?
Yes.
And did what he said have an impact on your belief about what was going on and what you needed to do?
Yes.
Who did he say that was responsible in his opinion?
Sparkle.
Okay, so who was Sparkle as you understood it at the time?
I believe her real name is Stephanie Edwards. What's up, House of the Princess? What's going on?
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm I'm at home under the weather, so I can read for a few minutes.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. So how about this? You can come in for, let's say, if Miss Apatine comes in or Miss Judge. Tanya, you can be Bonjean, and so y'all can just, play back and forth. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. I believe her real name is Stephanie Edwards. Sparkle was a person that had a personal and professional relationship with Robert. She was an artist. Robert produced an album for her that went platinum. And when it came time to do the second record, she was dating a guy by the name of Steve Huff. And she tried to force Robert to allow Steve Huff to produce some of the album. She also had some other producers that, she wanted to put on the album. As I mentioned before, Robert is totally self-contained. And he felt like this was his baby. So he didn't. He would not go along with it. He and I fought about it. He would not go along with it. And at the end, I agreed with his position, and she was dropped from the record label.
And after that, how would you characterize the relationship between Sparkle and Robert?
She never sold another album that I can think of. And, she hated Robert because she felt as if he destroyed her career.
All right. Now, after the falling out with Robert, who did Sparkle end up working for?
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Objection, Your Honor. If we could get the time frame for when this is happening, please.
Sure. So do you recall roughly? Well, let me ask it to you this way. You said Barry Hankerson was fired in 1999 or 2000. This falling out between Robert and Sparkle, did it happen after that or before?
I believe after.
Okay. And after the year 2000 then, who was it? And after she had the falling out with Robert, who was it that Sparkle ended up working for?
One of Barry Hankerson's artists.
And who was it that she ultimately tried to get a record deal with and tried to help her get one?
Barry Hankerson.
Okay. And this is, I take it, is this the same Barry Hankerson who was offering the money to get the false claim against Robert Kelly?
Yes, sir.
All right. So when you heard that Sparkle might be involved and knew about her connection to Barry, how did that impact your view about this allegation of Robert and Jane that the police had approached them about and the Jane family about?
They didn't believe it was true. They didn't believe it wasn't true.
Okay. Now, who did you call after hearing about this from Robert?
Jerry Margolis.
And did you and Jerry just take Robert's word for it when he said no, it wasn't true? Or did Jerry order some investigation?
He had an investigation.
Who did the investigation?
Jack Palladino.
And who did Jack Palladino interview about this to try to find out if there was any truth to these allegations?
Jane and her family.
All right. And did that also occur in January of 2001?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the results of Jack's interview of Jane and her family, were those provided to you?
Yes.
By who?
Jerry Margolis.
And did you review those results?
Yes, sir.
And did those reports that Jack sent to Jerry Margolis or that Jerry Margolis obtained from Jack Palladino and provided to you, did those reports have any substantial impact on your belief about whether there was any truth to the claim of the improper relationship between Robert Kelly and Jane?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you could just take a look at this, I'm going to be Exhibit 4. It's actually Exhibit 4 redacted. If you can find that there along with Exhibit 5.
Are you putting it on the screen, or do you want me to look at it?
I will. I want you to look at them first. If you could take a look in the back in the book at Exhibits 4 and 5, redacted 4 and 5. The redacted versions are in the tab afterwards.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, do you recognize redacted 4 and redacted 5?
Hang on 1 second, please. I'm looking for 5.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Are redacted Exhibit 4 and redacted Exhibit 5 copies of the reports and documents that Jerry Margolis provided to you, which were prepared by Jack Palladino regarding interviews with Jane?
Yes, sir.
Did those reports, Exhibit redacted 4 and 5, impact your specific beliefs about whether or not there was any truth to the claim of improper relationship between Robert and Jane?
Yes, sir.
And did you review those around January of 2001, shortly after they were prepared?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, on the same basis as exhibits 1, 2, and 3, we offer into evidence. Well, let me ask this first. Exhibit 4 and 5, redacted, Mr. McDavid, have the names, the real names of the individuals been removed and replaced with the synonyms, with the pseudonyms?
Yes, sir. I do believe so.
Okay. Otherwise, are these fair and accurate copies of the content?
Yes, sir.
All right. For the same logic, we just moved on 1, 2, and 3, Judge. We moved into evidence Exhibit 4 and 5, redacted.
They're admitted. Defendants Exhibit 4 and 5, redacted, were received in evidence.
Thank you. Mr. McDavid. Now, I'm going to draw your attention first to Exhibit 4, redacted. I'm going to draw your attention first to the top of Exhibit 4, redacted. Underneath the date, there is a name of a lawyer. Can you identify who that is?
Daniel Toohey.
Okay. And can you explain for the jurors and Daniel Toohey was and what his role was?
Daniel Toohey was Jane and her mother's attorney.
And did Daniel Toohey work directly with Jerry Margolis on these issues?
Yes.
All right. Now, when you received Exhibit 4, redacted, from Jerry Margolis, I'm going to draw your attention specifically to page 2. I'm sorry, to page 3 of that document. First of all, it indicates that the family recalled an event in the spring of 1999 when someone from DCFS came to their residence and conducted an interview with Jane in presence of her mother, father, maternal grandparents, Leroy and Sadie Edwards. The DCFS agent asks, has R. Kelly ever felt of you? Have you ever been alone with R. Kelly? Has R. Kelly ever made you feel uncomfortable? To each of these questions, Jane replied no. Now, when you read Jack Palladino's report of Jane's family, telling him that these were the responses that Jane gave in the presence of her mom and dad and her grandparents, Mr. McDavid, how did that impact your thinking about whether or not Robert's statement that it was not true and it was made up by Sparkle? Like, how did that impact your thinking about Robert's statement?
It reinforced what I thought. I mean, that there was nothing to it.
Okay. And why?
She denied it to law enforcement.
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
that's fine. Look, let's take a look at some other things that Mr. Palladino reported about his interview with Jane and her family. The parents, the male social worker explained to the parents that he had to follow up on an anonymous call from someone who started that. Stated that the parents had been warned about Kelly's improper actions with Jane and knew about the improper relationship between Kelly and Jane, were allowing improprieties to take place between Kelly and Jane. The anonymous caller also stated that Jane had slept with R. Kelly. On his tour bus, Jane added that she has never toured with R. Kelly. And when she was on the tour bus, she was with her godmother, i.e., Kelly's wife. Brandon and Susan, Jane's parents, stated that they had never been warned by anyone about improper acts by Kelly with anyone, much less with their daughter, Jane. So when you saw that there was an anonymous complaint, the content of which had been denied by the parents as they reported it to Jack Palladino. Mr. McDavid, how does that impact your view of whether Robert Kelly was having an improper relationship with Jane?
It reinforced the fact that it wasn't true.
Mr. Palladino continues on page 4 of this report. Talk about what he was told by Jane's family about Chicago police investigators who came out, who explained they had to investigate because R. Kelly is so high profile. Asked the same questions as the DCFS investigator and received the same negative responses from Jane. They pressed Jane, as reported to Palladino, by repeatedly asking, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" So when you saw that she was pressed and continued to say no, what did that say to you, Mr. McDavid?
Two things. One, that I believe that this is what she said, and it was the truth. And number two, the Chicago police never spoke to me. They never spoke to Mr. Kelly. They never spoke to his lawyers. They never spoke to anyone on his side. And I would think that if they had any thoughts in their mind that any of this was true, that, they would have contacted Robert Kelly or someone, but that never happened.
Mr. Palladino goes on to explain that the family reported 2 weeks later, DCFS agent called and told the family he had found nothing amiss and was closing the investigation. Did that impact your views?
Yes, sir.
Explain how.
They obviously, must have felt that there was nothing to it. I mean, they closed the investigation, which meant that there was nothing to it. It further reinforced that over and over again that Jane and her family were making the same statements. That nothing had happened. That this was not true.
During the page 5 of Jack Palladino's report, on page 5, he takes about further interviews. He takes about further interviews of Jane's family about this December of 2000 visit with the Chicago Police Department. The officers stated that they had been ordered to come out by their superior because why? Because they had been on the receiving end of daily calls from a female caller demanding that something be done about the R. Kelly Jane relationship, or I'm going to the press. First of all, that particular paragraph, when you heard that there is daily calls made by some female caller threatening to go to the press, what came to your mind?
Sparkle,
Why?
because she hated Robert. I mean, somebody is calling daily. It's anonymous. At that time, I don't know, who else it could have been.
Okay. And Jane's family went on to report that in addition to the expected questions about improper touching by Kelly, being alone with Kelly, and being made uncomfortable by Kelly, to all of which Jane continued to reply no. The police investigators asked whether Jane knew Tiffany Hawkins, and Jane said no. First of all, you've seen in 1999, there was this conversation with DCFS where Jane said nothing happened. Now, you are reading that the family reports to Jack Palladino that they came back, they came back now in December of 2000, and Jane continues to reply no. So knowing now there have been two separate incidents.
Objection, Your Honor.
I haven't finished my question.
Wait.
We can just ask the question. We're summarizing what has already been read here.
Judge, I'm just trying to get to the question here. So you've already seen that there has been a 19.
Miss Apatine, did you have anything to say?
Sorry. Your Honor, can we get a ruling on the objection, please?
Wait. I'm trying to. Let me see what the question was. Hold on a minute.
I hadn't got to finish it yet, was the problem.
Well, overruled. You can complete their question.
Thank you. So, having seen that in 1991, the family reported to Palladino that Jane said no to all these questions, and now seeing in December of 2000, she's reporting no to a separate group of investigators. How does that impact your mindset about the truth of any of this? Like, just that part. We'll get to the other part in a minute.
It led me to the same conclusion I had already reached, that there was no truth to these allegations. I mean, she denied it over and over again. Her parents have denied it over and over again, and nobody has ever talked to Robert about it from the police department.
So when it goes on to indicate Jane's family indicate police investigators asked whether Jane knew Tiffany Hawkins, Jane responded she never met her. What did that reference to Tiffany Hawkins, what did that do to your thinking? Or how did that impact your thinking about this entire situation?
That made it very clear to me who was behind all of this.
Who?
Barry Hankerson.
How could you tell by the reference to Hawkins?
Because in 1997, the people in the room, to the best of my knowledge, was Hawkins, her lawyer, John Toohey, myself, Jerry Margolis, and Barry Hankerson. That's me. Sorry.
So saying that those were the only people in the room for the Hawkins deposition, The, the reference by the police to Tiffany Hawkins and asking Jane about her, how did that point you to Barry Hankerson?
Because Barry, he hated Robert. I mean, no one else knew about Tiffany Hawkins. How else could this come out?
Okay.
Unless it was out of Barry's mouth.
So, and so when you now see further evidence that Barry Hankerson is indeed your view behind this, what does that tell you about how much credence you could give to any of these allegations about Jane and Robert?
Absolutely none.
Mr. Palladino went on to report that according to Susan, Jane's mother, the officers also asked for her sister Stephanie Sparkle Edwards' last name and current address. So after seeing the Hawkins portion, which directed you to Barry, the fact that they asked for Sparkle's last name, how did that impact your view of this entire situation?
It made me believe that the police thought that Sparkle was the one making the phone calls, the harassing phone calls, and the constant stirring up of the whole thing.
Okay. At the end of the police interview, Jane's family reported to Palladino, and the police told the family that they will file a report concluding that the allegations were unfounded, but stressed that in the fact of such accusations, they had to go. They had no choice but to go out and interview Jane. Now, seeing that the December of 2000 police were finding this unfounded, what impact did that have on your view of the situation?
That it wasn't true.
Why does the fact that they made an unfounded finding impact your thoughts?
Well, this is now the second time that the police have investigated this with Jane and her family. And this is the second time that they found it unfounded. And also, they never talked to Robert or any of the representatives. So that in itself, it made me believe that there was nothing to this.
Okay, now on page 6, Mr. Palladino reported that the family told him about Sparkle. And what he said, or what he reported about what he was told by the family, is Sparkle, who R. Kelly produced first album, went platinum in 1998, began work on her second album with Kelly about February of 1999, until the bitter break took place between Sparkle and Kelly over Sparkle's insistence that her new boyfriend, Chicago record producer Steve Huff, produced several of the songs on her second album. The family describes Sparkle as bitter, that they did not rally to her side in her dispute with Kelly, and they have remained friends with him. Now, seeing that those things had been said to Mr. Palladino by Sparkle's sister, again, Jane's mom and dad, Sparkle's sister being her mom, what did that impact your view of Sparkle's involvement and the legitimacy of any such allegation at that time?
That Sparkle not only had a vendetta against Jane, but her family also. And it again reinforced the fact that I could not believe this.
Turning your attention to Defendant's Exhibit 5, redacted, is Defense Exhibit 5, Jack Palladino's typed up version of a handwritten declaration by Jane.
Yes.
Jane.
Yes.
Okay, and when you received it and reviewed it in January of 2001, Did you see that there was a handwritten declaration that had been typed up here in the last paragraph?
Yes.
So reading James' declaration as follows: I have been the subject of false, vicious rumors of an improper relationship with Robert. I have been questioned twice, in the spring of 1999 and in December of 2000 by Chicago police, and once 1999 by DCFS. At which the time investigators had told my family that they found nothing improper. They, my parents, were present on each of those occasions, and they and I cooperated fully, and I answered every question asked.
Okay, pause right there, King Johan. King Johan, go ahead and switch to Mr. McDavid on the stand. Mike Nice, if you're here. Ike Nice, you here?
Yep. What page we on?
What page we on? Hold on. We are in the middle of page 3135.
31. That's where I'm at. 3135.
Yes, sir.
What
So
number?
you will start right here at line 13.
Gotcha.
So you are Bo Brindley. You are doing the direct on Derrel McDavid.
Gotcha. R. Kelly never had sexual intercourse with me or touched me improperly or displayed himself to me improperly or made me feel uncomfortable in his company. Any statement by anyone to that contrary to a lie. Seeing those words as agreed in a statement by Jane, a handwritten statement.
Objection, Your Honor. This does not say it was agreed to by Jane. It's mischaracterizing what Jack Palladino has written.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Okay, the objection is sustained. It's an improper characterization.
I'll correct it. In the last paragraph, it says, I have given this 2-page handwritten declaration to Allison Kane without promise or reward or threat or coercion. When you read that, was it your understanding? What was your understanding, Mr. McDavid, about where this and the content of this came from?
Real quick, CJ, you on mute.
Oh, hi guys. What's going on?
I had to hear say hi, guys.
Oh, hey y'all.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right. Sorry, fellas. Go ahead.
So
we're at 8.
From a 2-page handwritten statement made by Jane.
Okay. And so when you read what you believe to be a statement from Jane saying that none of these things ever happened and nobody said anything to the contrary is a lie?
None.
In January of 2021, what, if any, reason did you have to disbelieve her?
None.
Okay. And when she went on to say, as reported by Mr. Palladino, I believe the source of these rumors must be someone very angry with Robert Kelly, who does not care that these false rumors have caused me and my family pain. Who did you immediately think in your mind she was referencing to?
Sparkle.
Mm-hmm. So as of January 2001, after having the matter investigated by Mr. Palladino, what was your belief about whether or not Robert Kelly told you the truth when he denied an improper relationship with Jane?
I believed it.
Now, after that was an article. We talked about this a minute ago. Was an article published in the Sun Times in December of 2000?
Yeah.
And was that an article that referenced? Is it your understanding or recollection that that article referenced a DFS investigation?
Yes, sir.
And did you know when you read that article what they were talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at the time that this article came out, what, if any, documents were you provided with by Jerry Margolis that was connected to this article?
Uh, a, a letter from her lawyers.
Okay. So Jerry Margolis sent a letter that was written by whose lawyer?
I'm sorry, Minor One's lawyers. Daniel Tui.
So James' lawyer.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Did you review this letter?
Yes, sir.
And did the contents of that letter itself provide you further reinforcement or support for your beliefs about whether there was an improper relationship between Robert and Jane?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was this, did you read this around the time it was written in February of 2001?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, if you could turn your attention to defendant's redacted Exhibit 6.
Yes, sir.
Is defendant's redacted 6 a copy of the letter that you reviewed around February of 2001 written by James Lord
Yes.
to the Chicago Sun-Times?
Yes.
And did your review of this letter further reinforce and support your opinions regarding Robert Kelly and whether or not he was telling you the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. For the same basis as of 1 through 5, we offer into evidence defendant Exhibit 5 and 6.
Your Honor, Your Honor, we object to this as to the authenticity as we can discuss off the record, Your Honor. At a sidebar.
Judge, let me just ask a couple of more foundational questions to make sure it's clear.
All right.
You have reviewed defendant's redacted 6 in its entirety before your testimony today, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's defendant's redacted 6, a copy of the documents provided to you by Jerry Margolis as authorized by Daniel Tui.
Yes.
And did you read document defendant's redacted 6 or a copy thereof before around February 2001?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay. And is this letter defendant's redacted 6? I'm showing you. Same letter that you were shown by Jerry Margolis back in February of 2001.
That's correct.
At this point, Judge, I think foundational is sufficient. We offer redacted 6.
Your Honor, the government objects.
Okay. Overruled. Defendant's Exhibit Redacted 6 was received in evidence.
All right. Taking a look now at defendant's Exhibit Redacted 6, Mr. McDavid, if we could take a look at some of the highlighted portions. Mr. Tui writes that he's retained to represent Jane and her family, and he indicates about the article on December 21st, 2000. In that article, you made false and defamatory statements concerning my client that injured them, and they're continuing to injure them. Specifically, the false. The following false and defamatory statements appeared in your article. Chicago police had twice investigated allegations that Kelly was having sex with an underage female, but dropped the investigation because the girl would not cooperate. Now, the nature and obvious implications are false and defamatory. Jane has never had any sexual encounters with Robert Kelly, and he has at all times fully cooperated with the Chicago police. Now, in the spring of 1999, and again in December of 2000, Jane met the Chicago police officer along with her parents and fully and completely answered all of their questions. She has denied having any type of form of sexual encounter with Robert Kelly. The police investigations were not dropped due to the lack of cooperation from Jane or her family. Rather, the police investigations were ultimately dropped as there was no evidence to substantiate any anonymous claims that Robert Kelly was having sex with Jane. Now, when you read the statement written to the Sun-Times by Jane's lawyer, what impact did seeing it written from the lawyer have on you?
It further reinforced what I had already been told and heard countless number of times. It's now coming from her lawyer.
All right, nice. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in as Bo Brindley. Thank you very much. You can stay on the stand, Johan. The fact that her lawyer was writing, what did that suggest to you about what did that suggest to you?
Well, based.
Let me see if I can make my question as clear as possible. When you see that the lawyer is writing this to the Chicago Sun-Times, what did that suggest to you about Jane's conversations with her lawyer?
Objection, Your Honor.
That they were...
Objection as to the form. It's argumentative.
No, it's not argumentative. Overruled. What did seeing this written from a lawyer, what did that indicate to you about Jane's conversations with her lawyer?
That she obviously told her attorney the same thing that she has said countless times over and over.
And then when you read in her or how she had fully cooperated with the Sun-Times, had written the opposite, that was a lack of cooperation, and that Mr. Toohey says that this is false and defamatory. Now, when you read that, how did that impact your view of Sun-Times reporting as it relates to Robert Kelly?
I was disappointed that a news outlet would publish something that was obviously a lie in the newspaper. And it seemed that they were just trying to be sensationalizing this entire event, and they were trying to sell newspapers. They weren't interested in the truth, or they wouldn't have written that.
So what did that experience with reading Dan Toohey's letter about this December 2000 incident with Jane's family? What did that experience suggest to you about how much faith or trust you could put into the Sun-Times reporting about Robert Kelly?
None.
All right. Let me ask you this, Mr. McDavid. At that time that these allegations that Mr. Kelly brought to your attention, that there were these anonymous, allegations. Jack Palladino went out and interviewed and investigated, and at that time, did you make any effort to hire a criminal lawyer?
No.
Why not?
There was no need to.
Why do you say that?
Jane denied it. Her parents denied it over and over and over again. There was no basis to hire a criminal lawyer. Everybody believed what they were saying.
Now, the combination of Palladino investigation results, the combination of Asti Watkins' interviews with the Jane and her family's interviews, when you looked at those together in January of 2001, what did you take away from the totality of what you were provided and what you believed?
There was absolutely no truth to any of this. Every statement, every report, every lawyer's letter all said the same thing. She denied it. Her parents denied it.
And how did the combination of that with if at all, did the combination of that with, Asti Watkins investigation about the money for false statements, how did that combine to impact your thinking?
That this was some grandest plan by Barry Hankerson to destroy Robert Kelly.
And did you think that you could, that you had a good reason to believe that after reviewing all of these documents?
Absolutely.
Is this a good time to take our afternoon recess? Sure. We'll take 15 minutes. Proceedings in open court. Jury is in. Please be seated. Mr. Brinley, you may continue. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Mr. McDavid, do you remember who the first person was that actually claimed to have a sex tape with Robert Kelly and a woman? And any woman?
Yes.
Okay. Who was it?
Charles Freeman.
Okay. Now, how did you first learn about the issue with Mr. Freeman?
Robert called me and told me that.
What did Robert... Let's stop you right there.
All right.
So, Robert called you. Can you give us an orientation around when this was? Do you remember? Does the summer of 2001 sound about right?
I was going to say August.
Okay. So, summer of 2001. Would you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Mr. McDavid, how did you in the summer of 2001 or how did you learn first about Mr. Freeman and this tape?
From Robert.
Okay. And what did Robert tell you?
And he said that Chuck Freeman had called him and said he had a sex tape.
And what did Mr. Freeman or what did Rob? Well, let me ask it to you this way. Did Robert indicate to you that Mr. Freeman was going to what Mr. Freeman was going to do with the sex tape?
Yes.
And what was that?
Sell it to the media.
Unless
Rob paid him.
And so the whole idea of Chuck Freeman having let me put it to you this way. Did you hear Mr. Freeman's testimony? Do you remember it?
Very well. Okay.
And during that testimony, Mr. Freeman suggested that you all called him to go recover some kind of tape. Is there any truth to that story?
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, thank you so much, Princess. What I'm going to do, Tanya, I'm going to sub you in to read Ms. Apatine. Princess, if Bonjean interrupts, you can jump in. CJ, if you could be Miss Judge and anyone else, please.
Okay.
Tanya, you there? Tanya? Sleepy T? You're on mute. If you're speaking right now, you're on mute. Tanya, she may be asleep. CJ, if you don't mind reading Apatine, please.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.
All right, here we go. So the objection. Go ahead and read the objection for me, CJ.
Objection, Your Honor.
Bassist.
Could we have a sidebar, please?
Proceedings had at sidebar. As you see, the sidebar is redacted. Now we come back. Proceedings had in open court. Mr. Brindley is back. So, Mr. McDavid, the story that Chuck told you about how he was contacted and selected to go beat down some door in Georgia because you guys reached out to him. Is there any truth to that?
No.
Okay. So Robert reported to you that Chuck had called him and said he had a tape and what did Chuck want for the tape?
Money.
And what was the threat if no money?
He was going to release the tape to the media or to he was going to sell the tape to a news outlet or something.
All right. Now, is this the first time that you've heard of any such particular sex tape?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you question Robert when he told you that Chuck had said he had a sex tape and he wanted money for it?
Absolutely.
What did you ask him? You're on mute.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Overruled. Let me phrase it to you a different way, Mr. McDavid. Did you ask Mr. Kelly whether or not it was possible that there could be a sex tape of him and a woman?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. King Johan, I'm gonna give you a break. Let's switch out. Ike Nice, if you could go on the stand and be Mr. McDavid, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you asked him if it was possible that there could be a sex tape of him and a woman, what did he say in response?
Yep.
Objection, Your Honor. Objection. He said, what did he say in response?
Judge, it's not offered for the truth. It's just going to go to his subsequent conduct and his handling of the situation. I assume it's not being offered for the truth. Overruled. So, what did he say when you asked him, is it possible that there could be a sex tape of you and a woman that somebody might have?
Yep.
Okay. So, was there any effort by him to deny it at all?
No.
Okay. Now, did you contact anybody when you heard about that there was a sex tape out there that Chuck Freeman was threatening to give to the media or to somebody unless he was paid?
Yes.
Who did you call?
Jerry Mongolis.
And why did you call Mr. Magolis?
Well, he was the one I always call when these type of situations.
And what did Mr. Magolis instruct you about, or, how to handle or what the risks were of a sex tape situation like this?
He said even the rumor of a sex tape could destroy a client's career. We had to be very careful, and we had to get the tape back.
And to this point in time, is this the first time that any of you knew about any particular sex tape allegation?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor. Foundation. He says any of you. Could we just get clarification who we're talking about?
What is the date? I guess. Well, this is the summer of 2001. Is that right?
Actually, August. Yes.
Okay. And so in terms of anybody claiming to have a particular sex tape in 2001, is this the first time that you were aware of that Chuck Freeman?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so going back to Mr. Margolis, so what did he say you guys needed to do? He said sex tapes could ruin careers. So what did he want to try to do if possible?
Obtain the tape.
Okay. Now, to begin with, as you understand it, back in the summer of 2001, who was Chuck Freeman?
A low-level T-shirt guy. He had worked very early in our Roberts career. Long story short, he also was involved in the group called Talent.
Okay. Now, when Charles Freeman is threatening to put out a tape in the media unless he's paid for it, why did you not go to the police and report him for the blackmail effort or extortion, or however you want to call it?
Well, because Mr. Margolis did not want the tape to get out into the media, which could hurt Robert's career. So he decided it was better to get the sex tape, and that was pretty much it.
Okay. Now, when this Chuck Freeman sex tape came up, when it's first brought to Robert's attention, is anybody making the claim that it contains some underage person?
Absolutely no.
Now, at the time Chuck Freeman approaches Robert and this sex tape claim is made in the summer of 2001, is there any effort made to hire a criminal attorney?
No.
Why not?
This is a tape with a grown woman on it, as far as we knew, and there was no reason to hire a criminal lawyer. There was no crime from our perception.
Did you know how much Chuck Freeman wanted for the tape?
No.
Now, you said that at the time, in the summer of 01, that you knew Mr. Freeman to be a low-level T-shirt salesman. And that's and that's some connection to a group called...
Why they keep doing him like that, man?
Bro, they be dogging the hell out of you, bro.
Man, listen, I am not gonna take this travesty any longer.
I'm not gonna take it either because I sell T-shirts. Goddamn.
Damn.
We are taking this to the nearest media.
Now, wait a minute.
Let me chill.
Disrespecting the merch business.
Straight up, though. When, if at any time, would you have considered hiring Chuck Freeman to work for you on any serious project?
I wouldn't hire him to shine my shoes.
Damn.
Really?
Wow.
Really? This is a blasphemy in here. Jeez.
Ooh. Dang, bro. Okay, here we go. And why do you say that?
Because he was just a bad person. Gave me bad vibes.
And at the time that Chuck is making the claim that he wants to be paid for a sex tape that he's got, at that time, how was Robert's career going?
Oh, he was on his way to being a superstar.
Could you be more specific so we can get a sense of how well he was doing at the time?
Well, he had already had an album that was, you're talking 2001. So his album had already platinum by that time, I believe. So he was making very, very good income. Very. So I mean, he was a rising star.
He was making millions of dollars at this point?
Yes.
Okay. And given that his career trajectory was going up and he was making millions of dollars, what did Mr. Margolis say to you about the dangers or the damage that a public sex tape scandal could cause?
Well, he said it could damage his career greatly, and even if the tape was a fake, once the rumors got out there about a sex tape, it could hurt a superstar's career.
Okay. Did Mr. Margolis indicate to you that he had any prior experience with such situations?
Many.
Okay, so based on Mr. Margolis' advice that you needed to obtain the tape, what, if any, reason did you have to question or doubt him?
None.
All right. So who was engaged to deal with Chuck Freeman and try to obtain this sex tape?
That would be Jack Palladino.
And by summer of 2001, had Jack been working for you and Jerry on Robert's behalf for a while?
Yes.
Okay. So who made the decision about the specifics on how Chuck should be dealt with?
Well, that was between Jack, Jerry, and maybe John Toohey.
Okay. And were you consulted about it?
Yes, I was. Well, they told me what they were going to do. Yes.
And what was the plan as it was relayed to you about what would be done to obtain the tape from Chuck?
Well, the first thing was going to happen was Jack was going to investigate Chuck. After that, he was going to meet with Chuck and see if Chuck even had the tape. If he had the tape, he was going to retrieve the tape and pay Chuck.
Okay. And the decision on how much money Chuck was going to get for the tape, who made that decision?
Well, I was not involved in that. That decision would have been more than likely been between Jerry Margolis, Jack Palladino, and I assume Chuck.
Now, Mr. Freeman, last week we talked about all these conference calls, and maybe you remember that he talked about all these conference calls where you said, or he said, that you and Jack were both talking to him, and then we reviewed statements that he said that he just talked to Jack. So I want to ask you, were you involved in a whole bunch of conference calls where you and Jack were both talking to Chuck Freeman?
Look, I don't recall speaking to Chuck more than one time.
Okay. And was that time long after the summer of 2001?
Years after.
Okay. And so if we could go back then to Jack Palladino, is it your understanding that Jack Palladino had a series of conversations with Chuck himself?
Yeah.
Did Jack Palladino bill you for the conversations that he personally had with Chuck?
Oh, yes.
Okay. King Johan? You on mute, brother? King Johan, you there? King Johan? You there, bro?
Yeah, I'm here. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna see if you want to jump in and be Bo
Wake up,
Brindley.
Johan. Wake up.
Wake up, Johan.
Come on, Bo Brindley.
Hilarious, Tanya.
Come on, Mr. Brindley.
You need a minute, bro? You say? I think you need a minute. I'll continue.
All right, all right.
Okay. You mind jumping in right there?
All right,
Right there at 2. Start at 1.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll come back to those bills here shortly. But before we do that, originally, when you were told that Chuck was going to be paid, that the plan was to pay Chuck to get the tape, did you initially agree with that plan?
No.
Can you explain to the jury why initially you did not agree or you didn't like the plan?
Well, I didn't see why we had to pay him. I was more on my personal position. I didn't want to pay him anything. I would rather have gone to the police. But after discussions with Jerry and I believe Jack, uh, they convinced me that I was pretty much out of my league as far as thinking about the subject. And
Okay. But did Jerry
14.
wow,
14? Oh well. Why is it that you thought going to the police might be a better idea? But what were you worried would happen if you paid Chuck?
he'd come back
Did that concern actually come true eventually?
over and over and over again.
Okay. But how did Jerry and Jack convince you that regardless of that concern, the best thing to do was to pay him and try to obtain whatever his sex tape was?
Well, as I said earlier, I always try to hire the best people I can, and they're professionals. This was the way out of my, this was way out of my wheelhouse. I listened to them. They both had a lot of experience in these type of things, and I took their advice.
Okay, now let's be clear about something else. When these strategies are being discussed about the plan to obtain the video, what's going to be done, how much is going to be paid, what, if any, involvement did Mr. Kelly personally have in these discussions?
None.
Is that something that he left to the professionals that he hired, being you, Jack, Jerry? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, how much was Chuck going to get paid ultimately? What was the number that was settled?
$160,000.
Was it 160,000 or was it 140,000?
Oh, right. 140. I'm sorry. 140,000. I'm sorry.
Let's get one thing straight though. Did you ever say to Chuck Freeman, or let me put it, was there ever a point where Derrel McDavid told Chuck Freeman he's going to give him $1 million?
Objection leading.
Pardon?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Yeah.
Did
Nope.
all right. Did Jerry Margolis or Jack Palladino ever suggest to you that the plan was going to be that someone would ever pay Chuck Freeman $1 million for anything?
Nothing. No.
Just so we clear, just so we can be clear on what the amount of money was and make sure we have that right. Do you recall any kind of document that was prepared to deal with Chuck?
Yes.
Who prepared the document
Jack,
as far as you understand it?
Jack Palladino.
And did he do this in consultation or direct from anyone?
Well, him and Jerry Mongolis discussed it.
Okay. And were you shown a copy of this document?
Yes.
Are you familiar with this with its contents?
Vaguely, yes.
Have you reviewed it in preparation for your testimony here?
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But before we do, when were you told that they were going to draft? Well, first of all, let me let me put it. Let me ask this. Mr. Freeman suggested that he came up with the idea that he wanted a contract. Is that true? Was it his idea?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman wanted the contract.
Yes.
Okay. And so when Mr. Freeman wanted the contract, it was prepared. Is that right?
Yes.
And what was your view? Whether or not it was a good idea to have any kind of written contract between Chuck Freeman and the lawyers and Jack Palladino.
Well, nobody trusted Chuck. So initially, I didn't think it was a good idea. But after further reflection and conversations with Mr. Palladino and Mr. Mongolis, it made sense.
Okay, so let's take a look at what's been admitted as Government Exhibit 320. Is Government Exhibit 320 the agreement that was entered into with Charles Freeman?
Yes.
Now, this $100,000 figure here indicating pay a reward of $100,000 and reimburse for expenses up to $40,000. Is that the only amount of money that Chuck was promised?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge.
Is that the only amount of money that you're aware of that was to be involved in the transaction regarding this sex tape that Chuck was extorting for Robert for?
Yeah.
Objection, Your Honor. As to argumentative, just ask the question.
Overruled.
The question is the $140,000 the only amount of money that was ever agreed to be provided to Chuck in exchange for the tape for which he was extorting Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, now, and some of the conditions that had to be met are listed in Government Exhibit 320, and those involve turning over all materials to Jack Palladino on August 23rd, 2001. And that material, does that refer to the tape?
I would assume so, yeah. Yes.
And passing by Mr. Freeman on that date, and to Mr. Palladino's satisfaction of a polygraph and or PSE examination concerning the truthfulness of Mr. Freeman's representations, that to the best of his knowledge, the stolen item he has recovered and will be turning over all the material that exists, is your understanding that he had to pass the polygraph and the PSC test about whether he had any copies of this tape on that same day, August 23rd, 2001.
Yes.
Okay. And were you made aware that this document was signed and agreed to as of August 21st, 2001?
Yes.
So, Mr. McDavid, was it your understanding that the video was to be turned over on the same day that he took the polygraph and the PSE?
Yes.
And was it your understanding? Is it your understanding supported by what was in the agreement itself?
Yes.
Government Exhibit 320. Okay. Now, we're going to come to August 23rd of 2001 here shortly. But first, I want to ask some questions about this dollar figure. So it was $140,000 to pay Chuck to get the sex tape and stop him from putting it out to the media. At that point in time, given how well Robert was doing, how long did it take Robert to make $140,000?
If he was working hard, he was being lazy, 3 to 4 days.
Okay. So this number, this amount, $140,000. Given what you've been told about the risk, the sex tapes posed, did it seem to be a significant amount of money
No.
to you, given what you were dealing with?
No.
You talked earlier about Jack Palladino doing an investigation into Chuck Freeman before meeting with him to obtain the tape. Did that investigation get conducted?
Yes.
And before Jack ever went to meet Chuck and deal with this tape, were you provided with any report that followed his investigation?
Yes.
Okay. And who provided you with the report?
Jerry Margolis.
And who prepared it?
Jack Palladino.
And in deciding how, did the report impact your thinking on how you would need to deal with Chuck Freeman?
Most definitely.
Did the report impact your thinking on whether or not Robert was telling the truth about his initial interaction with Chuck Freeman?
Most definitely.
Okay. And did you read the report right around the time it was prepared, August 17th of 2001?
Yes.
Okay, now let me have you take a look at Defendant McDavid's Exhibit 7 in your book.
Yes.
Did you review what? No, do you recognize Defendant's Exhibit 7?
Oh, yes.
Did you review the prior to Jack? Did you review this prior to Jack Palladino going to meet with Chuck to get the tape?
Yes.
And did Defendant's Exhibit 7, was this report prepared after Jack's investigation of Chuck?
Yes.
And did this report impact your thinking about first, how you would need to deal with Chuck, and second, whether Robert's explanation of how this all began was true?
Yes.
All right. From the basis provided with the other exhibits, we now move into Evidence McDavid Exhibit 6.
Your Honor, we have an objection.
7.
Can we have a sidebar on this one?
Just a minute. All right. Proceedings at sidebar. So you see that they have everything redacted. Hold on. Proceedings in open court.
Mr. McDavid, now I'm going to show you what's been admitted as McDavid Exhibit 7. You said that you reviewed McDavid Exhibit 7 after Jack Palladino conducted some investigation into Charles Freeman. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at the top here, once again, who received this report?
Jerry Margolis.
And he provided it to you?
Yes.
And over here, what does it indicate about what the file is about?
Kelly extortion.
Okay. Now, first of all, Chuck, the person that's referred to here with the phone number and all, Kansas City, Missouri, who was it your understanding that referred to?
Chuck Freeman.
Okay. And when Mr. Palladino, after his investigation, wrote, Chuck is a slimy, untrustworthy Kansas City, Missouri street thug who, for a period in the early 90s, handled the concessions at our clients' concerts. He's associated with the group Talent from Kansas City and reportedly was the contact person for 2 members of that group who pawned Kelly's stolen gold cross in Kansas City. When you were advised by Mr. Palladino after this investigation, his view in this report that he's a slimy, untrustworthy street thug who apparently is involved in pawning Mr. Kelly's stolen property in one regard or another. Did that impact your view about how Chucky needed to be dealt with?
Yes.
That is disrespectful. Jeez, man. Okay. And you can describe the impact that it had about your thinking about how we have to deal with Chuck Freeman.
I'm not going to quote Mr. Palladino's words, but bottom line is we had to treat him like a criminal.
And it also indicates after his investigation, Mr. Palladino notes Chuck made the initial approach to our client about this matter. And he claims the item is in the possession of someone he refuses to identify. When it indicated after Jack's investigation, when his report indicated that Chuck made the initial approach to Mr. Kelly, what did that do in terms of your belief about what Robert told you that Chuck was the one that was shaking him down for money, and that Chuck was the one who contacted him to try to get the money?
But that was true. Robert told me the truth.
And in fact, this is on August 17, 2001. A few days prior to that, had Mr. Freeman gone to Kansas City and met with Mr. Did I say Freeman?
Yeah.
I mean, I got it backwards. A few days prior to that, had Mr. Palladino gone to Kansas City and met with Mr. Freeman to investigate this man?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Who decided the location where this meeting with Chuck was going to take place?
I guess that was between Jack, Jerry, and Chuck.
Where was it going to take place?
Kansas City, Missouri.
And were you comfortable seeing what you read about Chuck? Were you comfortable with Jack going to see Chuck by himself?
No.
Why not?
Well, Jack didn't carry a gun. Chuck, I believe, to be a criminal. And I was not sure what he was capable of. And I felt that Jack needed to be protected.
Did you engage someone to accompany Jack Palladino to meet Chuck Freeman in Kansas City?
Yes.
Who was the person who you engaged?
Mr. Chris Wilson.
Chris Wilson was the man that testified before the jury about this maybe a week ago.
Yes.
Okay. Now, could you explain for the jury at the time that you engaged him, what did you understand Mr. Wilson's line of work to be?
Well, he was a Chicago police officer assigned to the federal DEA task force in Chicago.
Was he a friend of yours?
Yes, he was.
Now, so then it's fair to say you asked a member of law enforcement, a current member of law enforcement, to go with Jack Palladino and meet with Chuck Freeman. Is that right?
Yes.
Can you explain why it is that you selected a member of law enforcement to be the one to do this?
Well, because I wanted everything done above board. I wanted to make sure that Jack was protected. I wanted to make sure that I was a little scared at the time. I didn't know what would happen. I knew Mr. Wilson had great experiences being a law enforcement officer and could handle any situation that might arose, at the time.
Did you think that there was anything illegal or improper about Jack getting this purported sex tape back from Chuck to prevent it from being circulated to the public?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I did not.
Did you think there was anything illegal or improper about Jack and Jerry making an effort to thwart this blackmail by Chuck?
Can you repeat the question?
Did you think there was anything illegal or improper about Jack Palladino and Jerry Margolis attempting to thwart this blackmail effort by paying Chuck?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay. And specifically, Mr. McDavid, why is it that you didn't think there was any problem with this?
Well, both Mr. Margolis and Jack Palladino were attorneys. They were both the best in their fields. This was advice they gave, and it made sense. So I agreed to it.
Now, did Mr. Wilson, Chris, did he travel to Kansas City along with Jack at the same time?
No.
Can you explain how it actually worked?
Well, Mr. Wilson drove. Mr. Palladino flew. Mr. Wilson picked Mr. Palladino up at the airport.
Now, when these men, Palladino and Wilson, were in Kansas City to meet with Chuck Freeman, were you there in Kansas City?
No, I wasn't.
Were you in any meeting ever with Chuck Freeman about any any tape in Kansas City, Missouri?
No, I was not.
Have you ever met with Chuck Freeman in Kansas City, Missouri? Ever?
No, I have not.
Now, when Jack Palladino did anything for you, at some point after the thing that was done, the work was complete. Did Mr. Palladino ever send you anything?
Oh, yes, he did.
Your Honor, objection as to foundation. He's saying, I don't even know what we're talking about. He said the thing and the other thing. Can we be more specific?
Well, when did this happen?
Okay. Whenever Jack Palladino conducted any work for you, after the work was done, did he send you something on each occasion?
Absolutely, he did.
What was it that he sent you?
A bill.
Okay. And did you ever know Mr. Palladino to leave many things off of his bills?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to show you what's already been admitted in the evidence as Defendant's Exhibit 9. Now, Defendant's Exhibit 9, you recognize that.
Yes.
Is this a billing statement that you received from Jack Palladino?
Yes.
And is that your name at the top as the person who received it?
Yes, it is.
And is this for the work done on the Kelly extortion?
Yeah. Oh, back in the courtroom.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about various entries in Exhibit 9. First of all, from August the 8th, 2001, excuse me, until August the 13th of 2001, it indicates here there's numerous telephone contacts with the Charlucci Finney, Chuck Freeman, and through Keith Williams. So what Mr. Palladino was charging for there, do you understand it to be telephone calls he had?
Yes.
Telephone calls he had with Chuck Freeman.
And other various people mentioned.
And these telephone calls where he's talking about who he spoke with, does your name appear?
No.
Okay. And in fact, on the occasions when he did speak to you, Mr. McDavid, drawing your attention to the entry on 8/21/01, when he was speaking to you, what did Mr. Palladino indicate on his billing statements?
That he spoke to me.
Your name, McDavid?
Conference call. Yes, he referred to me as McDavid.
Okay. So up here in the telephone contacts with Charles Freeman, does it say McDavid?
No.
Did you participate in any of those calls?
No.
On August 13th, 2001, it indicates that there's travel through Denver to Kansas City. And there's certain delays. And it appears that he billed you for all the time. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break. As we take this break, y'all can go get something to drink, use the bathroom, come right back, and then we're going to wrap up the rest of this because we don't have much to go. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So in the meantime, I do want to let y'all know, thank you everybody who has helped us to put in for this pot so that we can get yesterday's transcript. We're only $105 away. Thank you. Nettie Boo just put in $5. Thank you so much. So we're now we're $100 away from being able to get yesterday's transcripts. As y'all know, we are like in the last 2 days. So we can go ahead and close this out. That'll be great. So we're $100 away. Thank you, Nettie Boo. Okay, let me just also let y'all know that we are going to have on Thursday night. I want y'all to see this because you're talking about having an amazing and good time. Come on over here Thursday night to rock with us because we're going to have our music battle. As you can see, we are going to have this battle is going to be between T-Bam 1 and Noonie. Let me just kind of show y'all the flyer right here. There we go. So it's going to be T-Bam 1 versus Noonie. It's going to be on this Thursday night at 8:00 p.m. That's what's up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ike Nice. Thank you for the 10, bro. We appreciate you. So that brings us down to, we only need $90. So let me see. So we're $90 away. Let me just update this here. $90 away. Okay. Let me put this in and let me pinpoint it. So as y'all can see, this is going to be awesome. We do these music battles every Thursday night. We had a bye week last week, but these music battles, y'all, are off the chain. I invite y'all to come after this round. This is the last round of the regular season. Starting next week is going to be the playoffs. So it's going to be off the chain. So make sure y'all come through and rock out with us, man. So I just want to let's show y'all what's going on. So y'all can't say, Atmos, you didn't tell us, you didn't advertise it. Yes, I am. It's going to be Noonie going against T-Bam 1 on this Thursday night right here on this channel. And it is going to be off the chain. If you've never watched a Atmosville music battle, oh my gosh, you need to check it out. Thank you so much, Miss Lyles, for the 10. So y'all, we are now at only needing $80. Let me go ahead and put that in here. So we are only $80 away from being able to get yesterday's transcripts. Okay, there we go. Replaced. Okay, there we go. Thank y'all so much, man. Listen, y'all, it's all it takes is 5, 10, 15, 20 here with all of us, and we'll have these things in no time. So thank you, everybody who has contributed. However, y'all go ahead, use the bathroom, get something to drink. And then when we come back, we are going to continue with these amazing readers that are here. Thank you for being so patient. Tanya with the tears probably sleep by now. But Princess, thank you so much. Thank you, CJ. Thank y'all for being patient and helping us. We appreciate you. Y'all go ahead. I'm gonna play a little bit of music. I'm not gonna play nothing that's gonna be copywritten. This is something that I wrote myself. I didn't write this. Let me correct that. But it was written for me to sing. And so this is called Together We Can. I'm gonna play a little bit for y'all, and then we're going to come back and we're gonna wrap this thing up, y'all. We're gonna read a little bit more. We're gonna wrap it up. So check this out. Here we go. The song is called Together We Can.
One small voice in this great big world, with all of the confusion, how can anyone be heard? One hand all alone, reaching for the sky. Sometimes it seems so pointless, but still I have to try. I still believe in miracles, 'cause here I am with you. Together we can make the dreams come true. Here you are, standing next to me. Oh, what used to seem impossible are now possibilities. Oh, when I'm weak, I know you are strong. When I'm standing here beside you, I'm right where I belong. So let the rain keep falling. Let the cold wind blow. As long as you are with me, I know together we can turn the darkness into light. Just remember, there's not a day without a night. I'm holding on to hope while I'm holding to your hand. I can't do it alone, but together we can. Can't do it alone, but together we can. Together we can turn the darkness to light. There's nothing oh, I'm holding on while I'm holding and I can't do it alone, but together we can. We can, I can, and you can, together. Whoa, I can't do it alone, but together we can. Oh, I know we can do it alone, but together we can. I know we can.
Yeah, y'all. Y'all listen out for that song. Y'all gonna hear that song a lot more. Indeed, indeed. All right, y'all ready? Y'all ready? We back? And Johan, you good? Hold
I
on.
mean,
All right, we back. We good?
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Princess, Princess, you there?
Yes, I am.
Say you want to be Derrel McDavid?
Yeah.
You know what? All right. Look,
equal opportunity.
we are equal opportunity over here. Go ahead and get on that stand. Hey, Mike Nice.
Yes, sir.
Pressure cooker, bro.
Oh, you want me to beat
Yeah, be Bo. Work her
Okay.
for a little bit. All right, let's do the switch up. We'll give King Johan a break.
All
All right.
right.
Let me go
What
and
we
pull
at,
it
20?
up. Let me pull it up. Let me pull us up. We eat EOC over here. Hold on now. Let me hey, her too. Hold on. Let me do this. Let me share. There we go. All right. Okay. All right. Y'all seeing everything?
Yeah, Johan said drop the link.
Oh, Johan. Oh, I thought he was already in. Oh, the link. Okay, you need the link again. Okay. All right, I got you, bro. Let me copy this to the clipboard. Let me go back in here and
7:37. Okay.
yeah, hold on, y'all. Let me put this in here. Johan back. Okay. Hey. Okay, there we go. All right, the link is in the chat, Johan. Go ahead and click it, bro. All right, y'all. So we are at the top of. I think we left off at what is that? Hold on, let me move this.
2.
We at 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
7. Yeah.
Go ahead and ask the question again. Go ahead and ask.
Okay, and then it was indicated on 8/14 from 10 p.m. 10 o'clock to 11:30 conference with Keith Williams and a call from Chuck Freeman to Keith Williams. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the billing statement that you got from Mr. Palladino, was it very specific about the phone calls and who was on them?
His billing statements are always extremely detailed.
Okay. So yes. Okay.
So, yes.
When he's meeting with Chuck Freeman on August 14th, 2001, between 1:30 and 3 o'clock, who's the only person listed on there besides him?
Which date, sir?
That is August 14th, 2001.
Chuck Freeman.
Okay. And in fact, this is August 14th, and then on that same day, he returns from Kansas City to San Francisco, and then he writes a report on the way. Do you see that?
No, because Atmos ain't moved his screen.
Oh. All right. So we let you do that. Good job. We're gonna kind of switch it back just in case Mr. McDavid do look at this and be like, dude, why you gotta put a woman? You know what I mean? We just want to kind of keep it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna put Johan back on the stand. But I do appreciate you jumping
Good
in.
job.
It was a good job. You kind of scared me the first time when
Yeah, you had me fooled, girl.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
All right, Johan, you good, bro? You ready to get back on the stand?
Yeah. I'm on McDavid now or the
McDavid.
All right.
Oh, I can. It's up to you. You need a break?
Either way. Either way. No, I'm good. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Let's roll. Let me move the screen down.
Do you see that?
Yeah, I see that. Where we at?
You're 24. You see that? 24.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And that was August the 14th, 2001, when he was doing this investigation of Mr. Freeman. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And he said he was writing this report on the way. Mr. McDavid, I want to direct your attention back to Defendant's Exhibit number 7 that you looked at before. What's the date on that?
Friday, August 17th, 2001.
So, is it your understanding, or was it your understanding, that this is the report that Jack ultimately produced about Chuck Freeman following that August 14th visit and that meeting with Freeman?
Yes.
So it was after meeting with Freeman that he came to this conclusion about Mr. Freeman, about being an untrustworthy street thug, and about Mr. Freeman being the one that approached Robert to shake him down for money?
Yes, sir.
One moment, Judge. And just if it wasn't completely clear, here on August the 14th, 01, entry on Jack's billing statement.
Yes.
He indicates report writing an en route of our August 17th, 2001 current status. Is that right?
Yes.
And the report that we just looked at is indeed August the 17th, 2001 report. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So he had gone to Kansas City based on the billing statement, and he met with Chuck. He prepared this report. Now, I want to talk to you about some other things that appear on this Palladino's billing statement. On August 21st, 2001, Jack Palladino talked about consultants on preparations of reward and expense agreement and a telephone conference regarding Freeman's extortion with McDavid and Margolis. So, is that the telephone call you were talking about where you learned about this contract?
Yes.
Okay. So, is Jack's billing statement consistent with your memory of how this took place?
Yes.
All right. Now, he also indicates after that, he says he has a consultation with you and Margolis, and then conference call with C. Freeman. Does Mr. Palladino's billing statement indicate anything about McDavid or Margolis being on the phone with Charles Freeman?
No, sir.
Okay. And in fact, was the point of using Jack Palladino so you and Jerry would not have to talk to someone like Charles Freeman at all?
Well, that's definitely true.
Okay. So, moving to August the 22nd of 2001, again, we have conference calls with McDavid regarding funding, conference calls with Polygrapher regarding testing arrangements. So, first of all, he has a conference call with you about funding. Can you explain for the jury what that is in reference to?
Paying Chuck Freeman.
Getting the money to pay Chuck Freeman?
Yes.
Okay. Explain how that money was going to be obtained.
I wrote a check to Jack Palladino. He came to Chicago, cashed the check, and went to Kansas City.
So, the check you wrote to Jack Palladino, was it for $140,000?
Yes.
Okay. So, he said he had a conference with you about funding and then talked to the polygrapher about testing arrangements on the 22nd. And then between evening hours, between August the 22nd and August the 23rd, it's indicated that Mr. Palladino traveled from San Francisco to Chicago. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, then the next day, On August 23rd, 2001, it says, obtain funding from bank, travel from Chicago to Kansas City. When he says obtain funding from the bank, is that the incident where you talked about where you gave him the check here in Chicago and he went to obtain the cash from Chuck?
Yes.
And when he traveled from Chicago to Kansas City on August 23rd, 2001, what, if anything, did you expect to happen at that meeting?
That he would find out that Chuck had a tape or not, and B, if he had a tape, that, and he passed the polygraph, that he would receive payment.
Okay. And in terms of what Jack would get from Chuck that day, what did you expect that to be?
A VHS tape.
Okay. So, looking at Jack's billing statement from August the 23rd, 2001, it indicates that there was a conference with Chuck Freeman. So, after he travels from Chicago to Kansas City, it indicates conference with Chuck Freeman, and then conference with Lawrence Berkeley, PSA examiner, and with Jay Herlock, a polygraph examiner, administrations of PSA and a polygraph test to Chuck Freeman. So, Mr. McDavid, based on Mr. Palladino's billing statement, do you have any doubt that Chuck Freeman took those tests on August 23rd, 2001?
No, I don't.
And in fact, is the date for the test, August 23rd, 2001, the same date that was listed for the testing in Government Exhibit 320, the contract?
Yes.
All right. And does it also indicate in the same contract that he's supposed to turn over something on August 23rd, 2001?
Yes.
What?
A videotape.
Okay. Mr. McDavid, it indicates here that these tests were done on August 23rd, 2001, on the same day that the contract says they were supposed to be done. You heard Mr. Freeman testify a couple of weeks ago that he didn't take a polygraph test and this PSE test on the same day he turned over the tape. Is that true?
No.
Objection, Your Honor. Objection, Your Honor, to foundation.
What?
The witness said he wasn't at this meeting. He asked him if that was true.
Okay. Mr. McDavid, did you review the billing statement regarding this event?
Yes.
Did you review the contract regarding this event?
Yes.
And did you, we're going to talk about the phone call you had with him on that day in a minute, but based just on the review of the billing statement and the contract, can you tell us when he said he didn't receive the tape on the same day they did the test? Was it true?
Objection.
No.
Your Honor, could we get a ruling on that? Objection is foundation.
Well, I don't think foundation, but I think that's his opinion. You know, since he wasn't there, whether categorically, he could say so.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I didn't hear what your ruling was.
The ruling was it's sustained, so, but he can rephrase the question.
Mr. McDavid, let me ask you this. Did you have a telephone call with Charles Wilson or Jack Palladino on August 23rd, 2001?
Objection, Your Honor, to the and or. Again, it's speculative.
It was the middle of the night. Yes.
Well,
I'm sorry.
he can say who was with.
Who called you in the middle of the night?
I believe it was Mr. Palladino.
Okay. And in the middle of the night, were you informed that on August 23rd, 2001, an item was obtained by Mr. Palladino?
Yes.
What was the item?
A videotape.
Okay. And so then what Mr. Palladino told you about when the videotape was obtained, is that consistent with what the contract said about when the videotape was obtained?
Yes, sir.
And consistent with the contract indicating that the videotape was supposed to be done on the same day as the test, right?
Yes, sir.
And the billing statements here, does it indicate that the test also took place on August 23rd, 2001?
Yes.
Okay. So then based on the phone call you had and the information you see here, is there any question in your mind that the videotape was turned over on August 23rd, 2001?
No.
Okay. Now, Mr. McDavid, and Mr. Freeman called, not Mr. Freeman, Mr. Palladino, Jack. When Jack called you to discuss the attainment of the tape, did he describe to you its contents?
Yes.
He described, did his description to you of those contents impact your thinking about this tape?
Yes.
Well, what did Jack tell you?
He said the tape was a copy.
Hmm.
He could make out Mr. Kelly. The tape was a very poor quality. He couldn't tell who the woman on the tape was.
Okay. And did he indicate who, if anyone else, if he was going to have to conference with about how to handle this situation?
Mr. Margolis.
All right. Now, at that time that he obtained the tape, he had a phone call with you. Had Charles Freeman been paid?
Yes.
Had they already paid him, or they were going to pay him the next day?
Objection, Your Honor. He's leading throughout this whole questioning about the tape and the money.
I believe they was going to pay him the next day.
Wait. Overruled.
All right. Well,
Now you can answer.
let me ask you this. Did you have a telephone call with anyone else the following day?
Yes.
Who was that?
I believe it was a conference call with Jerry Margolis and Jack Palladino.
Okay. And on that telephone conference, was any discussion held about what was going to be given to Charles Freeman?
Yes.
Describe the conversation. Describe what that conversation was and its impact, the decision making about what Charles was going to get.
I was told the same thing I was told the night before. The tape was extremely fuzzy. It was not an original. You can make out Robert, but you couldn't make out the woman on the tape.
And what about the polygraph? Anything reported?
He failed it.
Okay. So, in light of the failed polygraph and the fact that it was a copy of the tape, what decision was made about how much money Charles Freeman was going to get?
$65,000.
So, he was not going to get the entirety of the 140.
No,
Why not?
because he failed the polygraph.
And in fact, then on August 24, 2001, does Jack's billing statement indicate any conference with Charles Freeman?
Yes.
And was Charles Freeman paid $65,000?
Yes.
Now, Mr. McDavid, the balance of the money that was not given to Charles Freeman, what happened to that money?
It was returned to me, and I put it back in Robert's bank account.
Returned to you by Mr. Palladino?
Yes.
All right. So after Chuck provides, he fails the polygraph about having copies. He provides what obviously was a copy. Was any effort made to obtain other copies from Chuck after he got the $65,000?
No.
Why not?
Chuck, the tape. You really couldn't make out what it was, and nobody believed that he would turn over all the copies.
Okay. At the time that you knew Chuck still had copies of this tape in August of 2001, what, if any, effort was made to hire a criminal lawyer?
None.
So when the tape had been viewed by Jack Palladino, the tape that Chuck gave him, was that tape, or did that have anything to do with this minor? I said, does it have anything to do with his minor?
Objection, Your Honor.
No.
Leading.
Objection sustained. I don't understand the question.
Well, let me ask you this question. We've heard Chuck say that the tape he gave you was that awful tape, video 2 and video 3 that we watched in court, right?
I'm not sure what that tape sounds right, yes.
Okay. Now, the tape that Jack obtained, was that a tape that involved any minor at all?
Objection.
No.
Your Honor, foundation.
His observation?
Sure. And that's the concern. Based on what you were told about this tape, were there any minor or on it, and any concern about a minor being on it?
No.
Okay. And given that there was no concern about a minor being on it, was any further effort made to get the rest of Chuck's copies?
No.
Why is it after the tape was obtained and viewed by Jack Palladino,
No. Sorry.
Why is it that no criminal attorneys needed to be hired at the time?
Why would we hire one? There was a tape you couldn't make out what was on the tape. There was no crimes that I was aware of. There was no reason to hire a criminal lawyer.
Okay. Now, the tape that Charles Freeman talked about in court, that he claimed that they have given to you, that talks about the age of the girls, genitalia, all of that tape. If that was really the tape that was provided with that content, would it make any sense not to pay Charles Freeman the rest of the money and to give him only $65,000?
Objection.
No.
Your Honor, speculation, and it's also argumentative.
Objection sustained.
Do I answer?
No.
No, it's okay. All right. After having seen the tape, after Jack saw it, what was your understanding of what was going to be done with it?
Jack was going to send the tape to Barry Margolis.
And after receiving the tape himself, did Jerry Margolis talk about it?
Yes.
Talk to you about it? And what, if anything, did Jerry Margolis say about the tape when he had seen it himself with his own eyes.
He pretty much parroted the same thing that Jack said.
Okay.
That
Go ahead, finish.
he said
Objection, Your Honor, as to hearsay.
Not for the truth.
Right. Go ahead. What did he say?
tape had Robert on it. Tape was not an original. It was a copy. It was extremely fuzzy. You could not make out who the woman on the tape was.
Okay. So what he described to you is that much different than any of the recordings we watched here in court?
Yes.
We've heard about, and we'll talk about later, we've heard about Chuck's lawsuit, and we heard about his fake press conference. But, Mr. McDavid, at any time did this man, Chuck Freeman, ever tell you that there was some other tape besides the one that he provided to Jack Palladino?
No.
Okay, let's do a switch. Thank you very much. All right, nice. If you could go on the stand to be, and I'll go ahead and jump to Bo Brindley.
Okay.
I gotta get in the chat for a little while. I'll be back.
Okay, thank you so much, Princess. I appreciate you. Okay, bye-bye. All right, CJ, looks like you're a one-woman show.
Okay.
For now, anyway. You shouldn't have much to do. Okay, thank you. All right, so oh, you said no. Okay. Did he or was any effort ever made to obtain any other tape from Chuck?
No.
Now, this video that he's claiming that to have given to Michael Avenatti, do you have any idea when or how Chuck Freeman obtained that video?
Not at all.
And was that video or its contents ever even suggested to you as having been in the possession of Chuck Freeman at the time that you were dealing with him?
No.
Objection, Your Honor. He just says he doesn't know what tape Mr. Freeman gave to or Mr. Avenatti gave to the police.
I never said anything about the police. Wait a minute. And was that video or its content? I don't understand the question. I can rephrase. Yeah, I don't understand the question. When, if at any time, did Chuck Freeman suggest to you or to Jack Palladino or to Jerry Margolis suggest to you that Chuck Freeman had a videotape with a little girl on it, just like we saw here in court?
Never.
Subsequent to this whole escapade with Chuck Freeman and the sex tape and the efforts to get it, subsequent to that, what, if any, well, let me just ask you this. Did information come to light after that there's multiple sex tapes out there of Robert?
Absolutely.
Okay. And where did you hear about these other sex tapes?
From Robert.
Okay. And who was known by you, or who did you understand to be on the sex tapes?
One tape was one of his backup dancers. Another tape, I believe, had his wife on it. Another tape had a famous baseball player's wife on it. And then there was some tapes that were supposed to be fake. Okay,
now you mentioned a tape that had his wife on it. Is that a tape that you learned about much later? Am I right about that?
Yes.
Okay, now we'll talk about that one later, but outside of his wife that we're going to talk about in detail later, the tapes that you're aware of being out there, you said a dancer and a baseball player's wife and some tapes that were known to be fakes, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, when did Robert Kelly get married to Andrea Kelly?
Oh, 1996.
Okay. Is that before any of those allegations with Tiffany Hawkins?
Yes, it was.
Did he remain married to her after?
Yes, he did.
Did he remain okay, so did he remain married to her after these allegations about Jane came out?
Yes.
Okay. Now, directing your attention to December of 2001, do you recall hearing for the first time the allegation that there was a tape involving an underage person?
Yes.
Okay. In December of 2001, who did you appear? Who did you hear it from first?
Robert.
And what did Robert tell you about what people were saying or the rumor about this tape?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Overruled.
There was a tape about him and his goddaughter. It was a rumor about a tape with him and his goddaughter.
Did he say how he thought the rumor was coming, where the rumor was coming from?
Yes.
Who was that?
Sparkle and Barry Hankerson.
The same people that Jane's family has said were making these claims up in December 2000.
Yeah.
At this point in December 2001, had you ever seen Jane?
I saw her at Chicago Tracks.
And
that's the studio on Larrabee. I remember passing her in the hallway.
And one moment, let me ask you this before you go there.
Okay.
And where had you seen her in that, and in what context?
Oh, like I was saying, I saw her in at Chicago Tracks. You know, that's the studio on Larrabee. I remember passing her in the hallway a couple of times, and I remember being on the elevator with her and Robert once.
And what was your understanding of who she was, and vice versa, Robert?
His goddaughter.
And how did you come to understand that Jane was Robert's goddaughter to begin with?
Well, Robert had instructed me to buy a PT Cruiser for Jane. And I asked him, what the hell are you doing? Excuse me. And he said, this is my goddaughter. It's her 16th birthday. I want to buy her a car. So I bought her a used PT Cruiser.
Oh, shit. Oh. Whoa. McDavid just confirmed.
I don't think that was disputed.
Well,
No.
That's about timing. 2001.
Oh.
2016.
Okay. All right, let's go. Now, buying a used car for his goddaughter, did that seem out of the ordinary to you in terms of Robert and how he kind of gifts that he bought?
Absolutely not.
Now, how common, was it for Robert around that time to buy expensive gifts for people?
Not uncommon.
All right. And a used PT Cruiser, how did that compare in value to the kinds of gifts that other people receive from Robert?
Well, he'd given more money than that to his mentor, music teacher. I remember he gave, I think it was $25,000 to an executive from Sony named Wayne Williams. One time, I don't recall the situation, but we were on some college campus, and the student walked up to him and said, "Could I speak to you?" And he said, "Sure. What's going on?" And she said, "I'm a straight A student. This is my last semester in college, and I can't afford my tuition." Without hesitation, he turned to me and said, "Write her a check for her tuition," which I did. There were many more times, but my memory,
That's fine. So, was there anything particularly extraordinary or striking to you about the fact that he wanted to buy a used PT Cruiser for his goddaughter.
No, to me, it was just Robert being Robert.
So when Robert told you about this rumor that there was some tape that's supposed to have him and Jane and his goddaughter on it, can you describe his demeanor to you as you observed it?
Oh, he was angry, pissed off. He said he couldn't believe anybody would make up this kind of rumor about his goddaughter.
What, if any, nervousness or fear did he exhibit when he told you about this?
Objection, Your Honor. It's leading.
Overruled.
There was no fear. There was no nervousness. He was just pissed off.
And what, if anything, did you ask him when he told you there's this rumor out there?
I asked him, was there any truth to this?
Why did you feel the need to ask him again? Like, since you had obviously had this conversation with him before?
Because I felt I had an obligation to ask, and I did.
And when you asked him the question again now, is there any possible truth to this rumor? What did he say, if you can remember?
Do you want me to quote him?
Please.
Fuck you. This is my goddaughter. We're talking about this type of situation before, but didn't ever question me about. Don't ever question me about this again.
So at that time, based on everything you knew about Jane and Robert and the prior allegations that he had been investigated by Mr. Palladino, did you ever have any reason to doubt what he said?
No, Robert had a certain tone of talking to me, and I believe it.
Now, his reaction when you asked him, is there any truth about this tape that was rumored? How did it compare to his reaction when you asked him whether there was any truth to the fact that there could be a sex tape with him and some other woman when Charles Freeman was shaking him down? Go ahead and read, Bon.
I'm going to object to speculation and comparison.
Overruled. Could you compare the tone in terms of the two incidents?
I mean, which tape? I mean, which incident? Which incident?
This occasion when you said he was so angry that he got so angry with you when you asked him.
Yes.
How did that compare to his reaction when you confronted him about the possibility that there was a Charles Freeman, a sex tape of a woman and him and Charles Freeman might have?
Totally different.
Okay, what was the difference?
He acknowledged that there could be a sex tape about that Charles Freeman could have a sex tape. He acknowledged the fact that there could be a sex tape about him and an adult woman. I'm not going to say he was nonchalant or matter of fact, but he said, yeah, it could happen. It could be out there.
And how did that compare to this?
Two different situations. One was angry and frustrated, animated, and the other one was, I hate to say, more matter of fact, but that would be how I describe it.
Okay. And so at the time that he said it to you with the information that you had then, this is in December of 2001. We've already went through all of the things that you knew about false allegations against Robert and what Jane and her family has said at the time that he said this to you. Did you have any reason to doubt him?
No.
What did you do after he told you?
I called Jerry Margolis.
And in this instant, when you told Jerry that there was an allegation about a minor and a particular minor, this goddaughter and a tape, what did Jerry say?
He said that Robert should meet with the parents and make them aware of the accusation because he didn't want them to be sideswiped by the media.
Okay, and did he say anything else about an action that you needed to take, an instance that he had never before recommended?
Yes.
And what was that?
Get a criminal lawyer.
And why did Jerry Margolis indicate to you that in this instant, a criminal lawyer was needed when prior to this, it hadn't been discussed?
Because now there was a particular issue about a specific person that was underage on the tape. And we had to take that seriously. Enough is enough.
Okay. Well, what did you said Jerry indicated that Robert needed to talk to the family, so they weren't sideswiped by the media in the media. I guess before I get to that, who, if anyone, did Jerry express concern about being responsible for this rumor of the tape?
Yeah, it was Barry Hankerson and Sparkle.
And what, if anything, did Jerry say at that time about Barry Hankerson and his involvement?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
It's not leading. Overruled. What, if anything, did he say to you about his concerns about Barry Hankerson and his connection to this tape?
He was extremely concerned because we all knew that Barry hated Robert. And Barry had the means and the wherewithal to make up fake tapes if one existed.
After you talked to Jerry and he recommended that Robert meet with the family to let them know and avoid any sort of surprise in the media, did Robert meet with Jane and her family?
Yes.
Where?
At a hotel in Oak Park.
Did you set that meeting up for him?
I did.
Now, were you present when Robert actually spoke to the family that night?
No, I was not.
All right. Now, do you know how Robert got to the hotel that night?
I believe it was in the afternoon.
Oh, I'm saying night. I don't know why I'm saying night. That was my mistake. I apologize. Mr. McDavid, do you know how Robert got to the hotel?
Yes.
How did he get to the hotel?
I drove him.
Why did you drive him?
Because he asked me to.
Where did you meet with him before you went to the hotel?
At my office.
Where's your office?
308 Madison Oak Park, Illinois.
And what was his demeanor when you talked with him?
In person or on the phone?
In person, when he was there.
Well, slightly apprehensive. He was concerned about the family being hurt by the media. Other than that, still angry about the whole situation going on. But that was about it.
Okay, did he express any beliefs that he thought was behind it when he spoke to you in your office?
Yes.
Who was that?
Sparkle and Barry Hankerson.
Now, after you got to the hotel, what happened?
I sat in the car. Robert went inside.
Why is it that you stayed in the car while Robert went inside?
Because he asked me to.
He asked you to stay in the car?
Yeah.
What did he say to you about, that led you to stay in the car?
He said that they'd probably be more comfortable if he was the only one talking to them, given the circumstances of the conversation.
Did that seem unreasonable to you at the time?
No.
Why not?
Well, it made sense. It was a, delicate conversation.
King Johan, you still here? King Johan, you're on mute, bro.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you sleep, bro? You sound like you was like, huh?
Nah.
You sure? I know you're tired. It's like we got like a couple more pages to go. Can you jump in and finish off, Bo Brindley?
Yeah, hold on. Give me just a second.
Okay.
Getting there. We getting there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
So why he does that, I'm not even sure where his lawyer is going with this, because he's making it seem like he concedes that what they watched in the courtroom was a minor.
Today, but not then.
Yeah, now, but not then. But then it's also like, if you're going to admit to that, then why does it matter if it was Barry Hankerson and Sparker? Why does it matter if this is? It's clear that was a tape, like, period, in the subject.
Well, he keep throwing the word fake in there, so it's like Barry Hankerson had the means to make this tape that Robert claims is fake. So I'm gonna believe Robert. You know, that's what I think that's his position. And I think the lawyer's still trying to make him seem like he's unaware of all of the stuff that's going on around him, even though he's day to day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. But then it's also like, if you're gonna sit here, I agree with you, by the way. But it's also like, if you're gonna sit here and say, that whoever is so shady, I think Charles Freeman is so shady and whatever. So you're telling me that he wouldn't have shown you a clear video if he had it? Especially since this man said that he had it and he provided him multiple copies.
Right.
Like, if he wanted more money, especially if you're just saying 65 compared to 150 or whatever.
Right. I'll go ahead. We'll go ahead and wrap. We only got 6 more pages. I'll go ahead and wrap it up. You good?
I got it. Yeah.
Okay, bro. So go ahead and start with the question. 24.
Do you remember hearing Jane's testimony about Robert going into a room talking to her father by himself, when she indicated that she didn't recall you being there? Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you present for any of that?
No, I was in the car.
After the meeting was over, well, once Robert went in to meet with the family, when is the next time you saw him?
When he walked out of the hotel.
And when he got in the car with you after walking out of the hotel, what was his demeanor at the time?
Like a sense of relief, calm.
You say a sense of relief and calm. What do you mean?
He said that he had spoke to James' father.
Brandon? Brandon?
Spoke to Brandon, told me.
Objection, Your Honor. It's hearsay. He asked him what he was feeling. How did he appear?
Well,
all right.
Okay.
I'll ask a different question. Did Mr. Kelly say anything to you at any time that impacted your thinking about the situation?
Yes.
What did he say to you about what happened at the meeting?
What did he? Oh, he said that he spoke to, I guess his name is Brandon.
Brandon. Yes.
Yeah, he spoke to Brandon and told him the situation. Brandon understood, and everything is okay.
Okay. When, at any time,
Leave those right there.
did he suggest to you that he had made some sort of a confession, or that any of this was true when he was talking to you?
No, he never.
Objection, Your Honor. Again, leading.
Overruled.
Never.
Do you want me to ask one more question, Judge? I mean, then it would be a good time to break.
All right. One more question and then we'll break.
At that time, Mr. McDavid, after he got in the car with you, you said he talked to the family. At that point in time, what, if any, reason did you have to disbelieve Robert based on everything you've seen up to that point?
None.
That would be good for the day, Judge.
We'll suspend until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Have a nice evening. Don't discuss the case and don't read about it, and don't listen to any accounts on YouTube or Twitter. Stay away from Atmos Love's channel and everywhere else. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Jury is out.
Judge, we want to discuss timing since we have 2 days left in the week and what our expectation is that we'd be able to tell the jury as to when they'll get the case? Given that we've told them 4 weeks, the reason that we're asking is we understand that, again, given that we've told them 4 weeks and we're just about there, just the concern is, losing jurors at this point. So we're wondering if Your Honor has any.
Well, there's not much we can do about it, but it wasn't our fault that they closed the courthouse yesterday. Mr. Brinley, what can you tell us?
We have a lot of, our direct examination covers 20 years, Judge, and we have a lot left to discuss. There is what I can tell you about where we are. Let me see. At this point in time, I can say that we're less than halfway done.
So you're less than halfway.
I would, yes, I think it's fair to say we are at most. We're halfway done, but I don't think we're quite halfway done.
There will be a cross-examination, I assume.
Yes, Your Honor. And I guess I understand that Mr. Kelly's counsel will be cross-examining as well. And so is there an estimate on that too?
My guess is that the earliest that we would argue the case will be Friday. If not Monday, I guess. Not much we can do about it. It's not our fault that, we took Wednesday off and Tuesday off. Excuse me. Not much we can do. It's my understanding that, I've been told that the court wants to use this courtroom for a photograph of the court.
When?
Next week. So we've been on me to finish, and we're going to do the best we can. That's all I can tell you. I would encourage Mr. Brinley to encourage you to see if there's some editing that you can do.
I understand, Judge.
And the juries have I'm pretty sure it will be, that way that will have occurred that to them that, how they think that it's going to turn out anyway. So,
Judge, on behalf of Mr. Kelly and to respond, I don't know that our cross-examination will be very long, but I do want to, just for the record's sake, I would again move for a mistrial on the grounds that this case was jointly tried, and our position is that Mr. McDavid's absolute right to defend himself, unfortunately, it does prejudice Mr. Kelly. So I just wanted to put that on record. I know the courts ruled on it before, but I'm renewing that.
Well, as I've said over and over again, I don't believe, that's cause. Under the facts, as I understand them, which doesn't require the jury to believe one or the other. That finger pointing is not frowned upon, so the motion is denied.
Thank you, Your Honor. I may submit an instruction, Judge, for you to consider at the close of the case.
Well, you certainly have it available because at some point, we have to have our instruction conference. Although we've had the preliminary instruction conference, so at some point we've got to do that, put it on the record, so you can establish all your arguments and complaints about the instructions as we've got them. Now, if you have some new ones you want, then make sure that you get them to the government and and other defendants, so and me, and so we can be thinking about it. If nothing else, we'll see y'all tomorrow.
I just have one thing, Judge. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Miss Judge.
Mary Judge, on behalf of Mr. Brown, this morning you granted my motion requesting my client's passport from pretrial.
Yes.
Services, and I made arrangements to meet with them at lunchtime, and after court I'm going to show the government, and then tomorrow morning, or after the close of evidence, I would ask to move that into evidence, but I just wanted to give you a status on that.
Okay. If there's no question about the existence of it, I will suggest that you stipulate that it's valid or whatever it says. Or whatever.
That's my hope, Judge.
Yeah. Pardon?
That's my hope.
All right. As I see your dog's ready for you to feed it, so we might as well wrap this thing up. All right. Well, thank you. Good night, all. Adjournment of 5:07 p.m. We certified that the foregoing is a correct transcript from the recording, from the record of proceedings in the above entitled manner. This was the day of September 8th. Great job. Great job, y'all. Good job. We got through it. So now we're on to September 9th, y'all.
Yeah.
Great job once again. Great job.
So what I don't understand is, one, how are you only halfway done?
Right, I don't get that. First it was less than halfway.
And what are we talking about? And then, even though I can't stand him, I'm kind of understanding more why McDavid had to go on the stand, because otherwise there's no counter argument, because so much of the case is based on Kelly. And it's just like, was he there? Yes. Did he give you the money? Yes. So unless McDavid has things to say to move him away from certain places, his case is really kind of whatever, you know. And then for June, he's a little further removed from McDavid, so I kind of understand. Still think it's dumb, but I guess I understand. And she agrees.
Yeah, he had to get up there and so try to defend himself best he could. Count all them times that Charles Freeman said, "I met with Derrel McDavid. I put the tape in with Derrel McDavid. Derrel McDavid paid."
And Chuck Palladino.
Chuck Palladino. Oh, that was all he was. That's all Freeman was talking about. Derrel McDavid and Chuck Palladino.
That's all I'm thinking
all
about.
I want is $500,000 from Derrel McDavid. So that nigga got reduced down to $65,000. Did they find a check for $100,000 or $140,000?
Yeah, did he say that $65,000 was cash? I
don't know.
Yeah,
I wonder where the rest of them gave the message money, and he claimed he ain't never given no more money. So
he wanted his million.
All they gotta do is find out if any checks, more checks was passed to that man.
Checks, but what's it call it?
Cash. He said he was throwing it in cash.
They have all his bank records, so all those withdrawals that we were reading, which one aligns around those dates for
right?
You know what I mean? And you know what? This is what I wanted to say before we go. I feel as though the prosecution does a really poor job of objecting because Bonjean always made sure that she objected, even just because the prosecution was on a roll or saying something really emotional. She knew she heard it, but she was just like, Foundation, can I get some clarity? Just to stop their momentum.
Right.
And and the prosecution's allowing like dead ass leading questions like, are you sure that it was 140 or was it 160? I'm like, excuse me. He said what he said.
Right.
Those are leading.
Indeed. Well, y'all listen. Y'all, great job tonight. Thank you. Whoever can come back tomorrow night, 9:00, we're gonna be in back on the stand with McDavid.
Email.
Indeed. All right, y'all. Love y'all. See y'all tomorrow night. I appreciate y'all, and y'all have a blessed night. Thank you, everybody in the chat. If you could please hit that like button. Anyone that would like to help us to contribute to being able to get yesterday's transcripts, we're only $75 short. I appreciate everybody's help. Y'all have a blessed night.
Peace and blessings.
All right, peace and blessings. Peace out, y'all.
Haters, all good. Thought I couldn't when I could. Woo!